Hi everyone. We've got a quick update here as how we're doing throughout the year, and also wanted to cover some goals that we've got through the sales department and the rest of the company. And so what we'll do here today is we're going to cover how we did in 2023. We're also going to cover our goals for 2024 and how we're doing towards those goals so far in the first 3 months of the year. And then finally, we're going to end up with just a couple of items for the top spring season to kind of get us going. Spring is just around the corner. We're probably going to have an early spring, so we got to get going on that. So Ryan, why don't you tell us how we did as we finished out our calendar fiscal year?
Sure, yep. So we have closed 2023 around to 2024. We had, I'd say, kind of a mixed bag, a decent year, not a great year. You guys have heard us throughout the year kind of give updates, and so none of this will come as a surprise, but we ended up finishing just under budget for whole goods sales. Just missed budget numbers, but we actually were over 2022 numbers, so that was encouraging. Ag was down just under 9% compared to budget, but we kind of knew and then predicted there'd be a decline in ag sales.
Yep.
So it wasn't a surprise there. Turf and CCE, they were up about 2.68% to budget, which was good. That's about 10% over 2022. And used was up a couple percent over budget. So like I said, kind of a mixed bag on the whole goods side. Parts, better than 2022, so we had a sales increase, which was great. We didn't quite get to the number that we had budgeted, but still a good year for parts. And service as well. Again, we beat 2022, but didn't get all the way to our budget numbers. But still a good year. And finally, Precision Ag, which we mentioned this earlier throughout our updates last year, had a great year. They crushed their budget, over 38% above budget. So great job to that department.
Right, and some of that was reflected in some price increases. That was one of the reasons that we had a big bump on the parts side, for example, is we were anticipating more price increases than what we actually had, correct?
Yep.
So as we go into 2024, I want to take a look at all the departments and what our goals are there, and we really wanted to try to maintain some of the momentum that we had in our goals for 2023. So you'll see a lot of similarities here, just some different numbers. So the first one is our net operating return on sales, and that's basically our profit number that we look for. And what we're looking for there is greater than or equal to 3.25%. On the market share side, we have a new number here, and it's called PAYS, and that's the Precision Ag Engagement Score, and that's how are we doing on the technology side. Right. As Deere puts more and more emphasis on technology, and we look at solutions as a service, you'll hear that now going forward. Right. Where we're basically charging a fee per acre and if the technology is being used or not. So that's going to be coming out. But that score right now is at 55%. There was an adjustment last year. You'll notice we finished at 57%. Right. They made an adjustment in tech adoption, which dropped us back to 45%. All dealers dropped back. It's the way they were basically figuring out that score. And so we're at 45%, now we're looking at 55% for this year. For the production and precision ag number, we're looking at 60%. We did not reach that goal last year, so that one still is out there for us. Mid-tractor hay and forage at 47.5%. Again, did not quite make that one. Small tractors at 30% and compact construction equipment at 20%. When we look on the service side of things, service is our lifeblood, so we're looking at service profitability of greater than or equal to 3% of sales. We're still working on that customer experience. They did come out with we now have 4 total customer experience numbers that we look at. We're going to continue for this year to look at strictly that early ownership experience score. That's with the old surveys that go out after 6 months, and that's greater than or equal to 80%. And then the final thing is continuing to work on our management structure and ensure that our location department managers are deemed highly proficient. So when we break that down even a little further, let's take a look at just our ag product goals for 2024. And we've got this broken down here, as you can see in the slide, on precision and production ag, and then also the mid-tractor hay and forage. And combines, we're looking to achieve 10 units, planters 29, sprayers 19, four-wheel drive tractors, that's the big articulated tractors at 14 units, And then all two-wheel drive tractors, 180 horsepower and up, rigid frame would be 39 units. One neat thing that we learned here at a recent John Deere meeting is Deere is putting a big emphasis back on quality, and I know all of you have seen the lack of product quality. I don't think we had one forage harvester that went out that didn't have a problem this year, as an example. So they're definitely focused again on product quality, so that was good to see. On the mid-tractor hay and forage side, we're anticipating that market's going to be off about 5%. So we're looking at 9 self-propelled forage harvesters, 39 round balers, 41 mower conditioners, and that 100 to 180 horsepower tractor, 139 units, which is a big jump, but we're off to a good start there as far as, especially in that 100 to 180 horsepower, and we have them this year. We haven't had them for a few years.
Yep.
Another cool fact there is Deere has now doubled their R&D spend, research and development spend, on small ag and turf products. So that was that was cool to see as well. If you look on our turf and compact construction goals for the year, market share for small tractors, we're shooting for that 30% number. And we anticipate that market's going to be down a little bit, but we've got some room on that growth for market share number because we dropped off quite a bit. Deere has done some different things where they're providing us with some better leads now. And so the other thing to look at too is, since we do have those 5E tractors, we think that 50 to 100 is going to be able to make a big impact on that number.
For sure.
On the compact construction market, we're shooting for 20%, and that'd be a revenue growth of about 17% year over year. And again, we've got that market share room to grow, even if that industry drops off a little bit. Turf sales, we're looking for right around flat, so that'd be equal to about 2023 revenue. Utility vehicles, we've got up at 12% increase, and the main reason there is, again, we've got them. We haven't had utility vehicles for probably 2 years.
Right.
Residential power guard, we got off to a good start last year. We do not want to take our eye off the ball on that, so we're looking at a 20% take rate. Keep in mind, when Deere just calls up customers, they're getting a 25% take rate when they just ask. So just ask the question, and chances are the customer 25% of the time is going to take it.
That's awesome.
And then finally, customer experience, we're looking for that 80%.
Yep. So I want to talk a little bit about how we're starting here. We're 2 full months into the year as we film this, and about a week into March. It's been a slow start, so we have an uphill battle for sure. January was very rough, very quiet in the stores. Ag was way off from last year, 74% off from prior year. Turf was off as well, not quite as much, but still about 35%. So it wasn't a great month for sure. February felt a little bit better towards the end, but definitely it started slow as well. But again, we were off 22% on the ag side and another 6% on turf. So turf, not too bad. Ag, you combine those 2 months, we're behind the 8 ball. So we got some making up to do, which is possible. We have time. So right now, we're really going to have to focus on the whole good side and increasing our numbers, try to catch up and hit our budget and then hopefully surpass it. Tom just did a good job of outlining what our expectations are. We're behind the 8 ball, but we have time. So I think you guys have seen we've had a pretty nice spring so far. We think spring will hit early and hopefully start to drive some sales here in the next little bit. On the aftermarket side, bit of a mixed bag. So we've had some nice improvements in parts. We actually are up about 6% over last year, but trailing budget a little bit, just under 4%. And our margin is off a touch, and that's kind of been the trend over the last couple of years. We had a really nice margin during COVID, and it's coming kind of back to normal. Deere has changed some things with their programs, and so some of that is expected, but we want to make sure we can hold our margin here. On the service side, actually up quite a bit on the revenue side of the income statement, so about 19% over last year, which is great growth, and up over budget as well. So nice improvement there, and actually a little bit of a margin improvement so far as well. So that's encouraging.
So a couple of items to keep in mind as we roll into the spring here, because again, it's getting ready to get going.
Yep.
We hope. First thing's going to be is we've got to earn the sales back, right? So as far as if you're an ag sales cam or a commercial cam, need to be out on the road. Remember that's a numbers game. The more people you see, the more quotes you're going to have, the more sales that you're going to have. On the parts counter, we've got to be trying to upsell, talk about the programs, see what we can do about adding 1 or 2 more items to each one of those tickets. And then on the service side, continue to push our inspections as we go into spring. Make sure that we've got everything set up, ready to roll, and get any reconditioning buttoned up. But again, driving that revenue number so that we've got an opportunity to increase our gross margin that way. The other thing, let's not forget about each other. We got to promote our whole team. We're in this all together. And if you're in sales, you need to be promoting our parts and service department. If you're in the service department, you need to be promoting the other departments as well. So let's make sure that we're all working together and supporting each other. And that goes for across stores too. So as we go from store to store, we want to make sure that as we have technicians maybe coming out to help from another store, let's make sure that we're supporting them out there as best we can. And then the last thing is run efficiently as we can. We've talked before in these meetings about how our costs have continued to skyrocket. They're not changing. They're anticipating maybe some interest rate cuts at the end of the year, but even that's changed a little bit. So we're not really sure what's going to happen on interest side of things. So we've got to get our equipment out the door as quickly as possible. Remember, when a piece of equipment invoices, it's due 30 days after that. We have to pay for it. And then it's 8% is the going rate right now. So whatever that SOFR rate is, you just add 3% to that or 2.5%, and that's about where we're at. But you'll notice I put a tractor picture on here, and there's nobody in the seat of that tractor. And that's an autonomous tractor. And that I wanted to kind of end this with talking about technology is going to be coming on ever so stronger. I talked earlier about solutions as a service. You're going to hear that, as I mentioned, more and more, and that's going to become a big part of our business. Deere has a goal for that to become a reoccurring revenue of 10% by 2030. So the billions of dollars that company sells, they want 10% of that to be every month someone's getting a subscription or some kind of charge that way. We are going to get a little bit of a taste of that. There'll be more to come on that as it rolls out. But our first attempt with that for this summer is going to be with See & Spray. So we have a See & Spray Ultimate Sprayer coming. We'll be working with Penn State. We'll have it available. And then we'll also have a See & Spray Premium Sprayer as well. And those will be the first 2 products that we'll have that we charge by the acre that way. And that's going to be a direct bill from Deere is the way that they're going to charge by that in 2025. This year we'll be billing it, but next year it's going to be a direct bill from Deere. So with that, really appreciate everybody. I know the sales team, they're getting ready to have a virtual sales meeting, so please make sure that you pay attention and, hopefully that goes well with everybody and everybody else. Let's have a great spring and we'll see you out there in the stores.
Thanks
So
guys.
much.